What's up, everybody?
So a fellow YouTuber whose channel name is A Darker Shade of Whitney, whose channel I've left in the link below, has asked to see an Author Newbie Tag video for me, so I'm going to hit this right away. Alright, so the first question is, how did I find out about Authortube? Well, I was actually scouring the internet for communities such as this one. I didn't know it existed specifically, but I was hoping it did or it would someday, so yay. There was a Louisiana YouTube creators group, and I found her through that, and I started watching her videos, and it ultimately led to the discovery of Authortube. What genre do you write in? So I write in a bunch of different genres. I've mostly written sci-fi, fantasy, some satire, humor. Most of the books that I do write definitely have a philosophical backbone, and I would describe it as, you know how The Matrix is a science fiction film, but there's this whole atmosphere of philosophy and it has a lot of philosophical undertones? Well, a lot of the books that I have on Amazon now have that same sort of vibe. It's just they're more in the humor department. They're like humor with philosophical undertones. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? So I think my favorite genre would have to be psychological or philosophical thrillers, mindfuck movies or books. For most of the stories that I've written, they've been third-person omniscient, but I have done a couple things, such as my transgressive road novella, This Never Happened Somewhere, in first person, and I definitely want to do more of that, but I feel most comfortable in third-person omniscient. And that being said, I'm definitely most comfortable writing in the past tense. Are you a plotter, a pantser, or a planter? So I definitely consider myself a plotter. I love the outlining process and having things figured out as much as I can before I actually start the first draft. The beginning of last year, I tried to start a big science fiction serial completely off the top of my head, and all that ended up happening is it felt like a mess, and I had to stop the production and do an outline. I couldn't move forward without it. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? So technically you could say I am self-published, but I think the idea of self-publishing has a very negative connotation. So I like to frame it in terms of being an indie author. The difference between just self-publishing and being an indie author. Self-published books don't necessarily have to be professionally edited or have a good cover design. So that's where a lot of the negative connotation comes in there. But as far as the books that I've put out so far, they all have professional editing, and the covers have been done by an actual artist. Not just me or somebody who kind of has a feel for book covers. What publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house or literary agent? So by proxy of being an indie author, I am technically my own printing company. So as an indie author, when I put out a book, there's a team behind it. There's a cover artist and there's a copy editor. So in that sense, I haven't published my books by myself. Do you see the difference? And I hadn't really thought about who would best represent my publishing interests. But off the top of my head, I'd probably have to say Simon & Schuster. What Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? Well, I do plan on talking about writing more. I'm going to be doing Camp NaNoWriMo next month, and I have a pretty high word count set and a deadline, and I want to write every day, and I'm going to try sticking to that. So I'll definitely be talking about that creative process. But I'm also doing book commentaries and breaking down elements of stories I've read and how they're applicable to helping me write better. A few months ago, I released a video of the difficulties I was having after quitting caffeine and how it was affecting my writing process. And I'm pretty close to getting 100 subscribers. So I'm going to be making a really special video that I definitely think you guys will love, and it'll be worth your time and it'll crack you up. So you should subscribe, because as soon as I hit 100 subscribers, I'm going to be releasing that video. All I will say is it's related to... No, I won't tell you. Secret. Special video. You have to wait until I have 100 subscribers. So subscribe! When did you start writing? Oh wow, I feel like I want to make a whole video about this. Obviously, we all wrote and had to write papers and little silly stories in school. But the first independent writing project that I ever had was in 2005 when I was 14 years old. I wrote a comic strip called Evil Family. The main character's name was Kenny, and because I sucked at drawing, the joke was his face was just always censored. It was just a black blur. Anyway, it followed his misadventures of growing up and dealing with a crappy family and trying to get a girlfriend. And his best friend's name was Han, who was Dutch. And the only way I made it obvious that he was Dutch is I would draw him with little pointy shoes, which, what are they called? Clogs? Clogs. Pointy clogs. I also killed his girlfriend as soon as he got one. Wow, yeah. That wasn't very nice of me. What authors have inspired you the most? Okay, so I'm not gonna just limit this to authors. There's some other types of people, and when they're not authors who've written books specifically, I'm gonna say what they did. But in the forefront, I would have to say Stephen King. I probably read more Stephen King books than any other author. Friedrich Nietzsche, because philosophy is a very important part of my writing. James Clavell, Janine Garofalo, who is an amazing comedian. Brian Lumley, who wrote the Narcoscope series. Jonan Vasquez, he made Invader Zim and wrote comics. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Squee. Camus, another very important philosopher. John Steinbeck, Ayn Rand, and of course Chuck Palahniuk. Do you schedule your writing sessions, or simply get to writing whenever you get the time? I try to be scheduled, but I'm not that good at it, and I'm trying to get better. I used to be really good, now I'm not so good, and I'm gonna fix everything in April with Camp NaNoWriMo, and everything's gonna stay good. But not right now. So ideally, yes, schedule, but whenever I find time, yeah. Do you type on a computer, a typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? So it's kind of hard to call myself a writer because I've only been able to write stories on a computer. I've actually tried a typewriter. I've had mild success, but not really. And I can't handwrite a story on a piece of paper. There was actually a really formative period in 2014 when I didn't have a laptop for 3 months, and I was right in the middle of writing the story, and I just had to stop. And I tried so hard to handwrite it, and it just wasn't happening, and I had to wait till I got a laptop. And where do you write in general? So I don't like writing at my house, and I might explore this whole debacle and get you guys' feedback in a future video. But the ideal condition for me writing is to be in a kind of office atmosphere, like a library, or a kind of empty, spacious room with a desk where I'm alone and it's quiet. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? Community! Community, baby! I deeply desire to collaborate with people and make videos, and I really, really want to write a book with somebody. I want to write a book with somebody more than I want to write a book by myself at this point. I'm very overeager in that department, but I know that sort of connecting and committing to such a thing takes a lot of time, and it's like dating. So I'm kind of baby crazy just in the sense of wanting to write a book with somebody. And so I'm hoping I might be able to meet people who are kind of on that same radar as I am, or just to have some motivation and to feel part of this community. Because it's been very difficult. I don't really know people in my real life that are serious about writing or doing anything besides talking about how much they'd like to write books. Anyway, folks, that is the Author Newbie Tag video. It's nice to meet you. I am Ryan Starblow. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. You know that 100 subscriber special video is right around the corner. And if you'd like to read one of my books for free, check out my website at www.starbloke.com. This is Ryan Starbloke, and I implore you to have a good day. Thanks for watching.